Hey folks, good morning. I'm your host BKP. We're North Georgia's only live online morning show. Testing some new background looks and things like that, trying to adjust some lighting. We're not the big, how about this? We'll make you a deal. We will bring you the truth. We will bring you quality programming on FYNTV.com. And we'll leave the lying CNN, disgraceful network. It's not a news network. Their lighting, and they got the money to get all their lighting and everything, and their studios looking real nice to lie to you. But anyhow, I'm your host, BKP. Long night last night, folks. Don't get upset too fast. Bear with me today. Went to a Lumpkin County. I've never been to a Lumpkin County Board of Education meeting. Never have, okay? And I went to one last night, and oh my gosh, and then by the time I got home, that's at 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, folks, we're going to introduce you to the new Lumpkin County High School principal, 9 o'clock. 48 degrees, that is great. It's better than coming in here and seeing 18 and 19 on the screen, 8:02 this morning. If you ever want to contact the show, 706-889-9700, 706-889-9700, chief@fetchernews.com, and there are all the social media ways to follow us. Now, let me know, Josh, when you have that video ready, okay? You got it ready? All right, folks, yesterday. Now here's what we're going to do. Yesterday we had a whole lot of fun, okay? I know a lot of people really enjoyed poking fun at the media. We had a lot of fun yesterday, but that was the one day we had some fun. We're going to play this little montage. Many of you have seen this going around the internet. This montage here. There's so many different creations. You know, how many times yesterday did you click on something and Trump, the president of the United States, Donald J. Trump's head was superimposed on something and it was dancing, right? Yeah, it was all day long. It was enjoyable. But here's a little montage we want to play to open the show with the bombshell. The bombshell, always a bombshell. We talked about it here. Play it, Josh.
Donald Trump's done. He's done. There's no question about that. He's done.
Breaking news.
A bombshell.
Today is a turning point. Today was historically bad for President Trump.
Today was a turning point.
A turning point.
We're at a turning point here.
The beginning of the end for the Trump presidency.
The beginning of the end.
And breaking news.
We have another bombshell.
Mike Pence might have to assume the office of the presidency.
The call for impeachment.
Rumblings of the word impeachment.
Breaking news.
Another bombshell out of the White House.
I believe this is the beginning of the end.
I do too.
It's really the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
He may be feeling the walls closing in on him.
All the walls closing in on him.
The walls closing in on him.
Breaking news, a new bombshell.
One astrologer says this means the beginning of the end for President Donald Trump.
The beginning of the end of the Trump presidency.
Trump will resign.
Trump is going to resign.
Is this the tipping point? I know we've said it over and over.
You think this is a tipping point?
And over and over.
This is a tipping point.
And over and over.
Breaking news, President Trump off the rails.
It was the beginning of the end today.
It's the beginning of the end.
It reminds me a lot of the last days of Nixon.
Breaking news tonight, new bombshell.
This is the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end.
The walls are closing in.
The walls closing in.
The walls closing in.
Breaking overnight bombshell.
This is a very dramatic day, and I think it might be near a tipping point. Do you think this is a tipping point?
This is unbelievable. This is remarkable. Have you ever seen anything like this?
His presidency is crippled.
December 1st, 2017, you can mark it down. This is the day that everything changed.
We begin with the bombshell.
The beginning of the end?
The beginning of the end.
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 In fact, if this were a football game, we're in the third quarter. May even be the beginning of the end.
We begin tonight with the bombshell.
Donald Trump is in a lot of trouble.
Trump is in trouble.
The president will resign.
Another hour, another bombshell.
This is a tipping point.
Trump's going down.
This president could be impeached.
I do not think the president will serve out his term. Resignation. I don't think this president is going to serve out his term. Mr. Trump will not serve out his term. He will not serve out his term. No way, know-how.
Breaking news.
Absolute bombshell. I think Donald Trump is in trouble.
Donald Trump is not. He's done. And it's over.
It's over.
The wall's closing in.
The wall's closing in.
This is going to be the Achilles heel.
Breaking news tonight. I expect Trump to depart.
This week will be the watershed week.
Trump is in big trouble.
Trump's in a lot of trouble.
It's a sign of a terrified old man who feels the
Walls
Closing in.
The walls
are increasingly
Closing in on him.
Tonight, the walls
are closing in.
today changed everything. This is the beginning
of the end.
today, the biggest
tipping point for the Trump administration.
What a historic day. The bombshells they fell.
It's entropy and it's crumbling internally.
He's underwater. He feels the walls closing in.
Could his testimony be a turning point?
We may be at a tipping point.
It's the beginning of
The end.
The beginning.
of the end.
Another bombshell.
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 This is a bombshell.
It is a bombshell.
I am beginning to resent the word bombshell.
Me. All right, folks, that was a little long, but, you know, remember all those stories that said, sources say. Remember, sources say. And if this is true, new reporting from the New York Times, sources say, if this is true, Washington Post out this morning with another bombshell, if this is true, let's just say this before we get the day started. If we could not believe them yesterday, if we could not believe them the day before yesterday, if we could not believe them for how, God knows how long, remember that today. Don't get worked up with the media and what they're saying now. You could not believe them yesterday. Now they are running cover. They have not accepted. If you thought yesterday that the media would accept responsibility, if you thought yesterday that the media, that Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, if you thought for 1 minute any of them would accept responsibility, apologize to the President of the United States, you were wrong. That's the only way I can say it. If you got up yesterday morning and you thought, I can't wait because this one's going to apologize, you're totally wrong. Sorry to say. They do not accept the findings in the report. We do not know the total findings in the report. Sadly, you and I understand how it works. It goes to the Department of Justice. The executive branch has every right to go through the report and claim executive privilege. You cannot release the grand jury testimonies. It's illegal. We do not make a habit in this country of exposing American citizens. You remember these? Let's not forget, you know, they want to fly up a picture of Michael Flynn and they want to fly up a picture of Paul Manafort and everybody here. Let's not forget, these are American citizens we're talking about in this report for the most part, with the exception of the Russians that they will never bring to trial, okay? But these are American citizens. If you give testimony and you're not going to be charged, we just do not go after American citizens or expose them in any way whatsoever if they're not going to be charged in any kind of crime or indicted. So let's not forget that. So we know they hand the report off. We know that they hand the report off to the Department of Justice. Again, the executive branch gets to go through and redact and claim executive privilege. Bob Barr, the Attorney General, has every right, according to the way it works, not the way the media wants it to work, or the Democrats. Bob Barr has every right to go through the report and write summaries of the report. Bob Barr has every right only to release certain sections of the report. That'll be up to him. Now, they're upset that Mitch McConnell is blocking the report. No, he's not blocking the report. Nobody's blocking the report. There's nothing to see. You can't wait to see what's inside a report that has nothing. You understand that? There was never anything. the media wants and the Democrats want the report for one simple reason. First of all, I can't go much further without this, okay? In the 30 years, however long the guy's been on the radio, okay? Now, obviously, they're not putting pictures of him up this morning because he was so brilliant yesterday. But number 12, okay, MSNBC, right out of the chute there this morning, they're going through conservative talk show hosts yesterday. Rush Limbaugh, and I'm going to say I average getting to listen about once a week running this business and doing my own show. But Rush, of all days, okay, remember, and I'm going to say this because I have to defer and humble myself, okay, when it comes to the great one, Mark Levin, when it comes to Rush Limbaugh here. But remember, like I said, one day we were on the show and I said, hey, you know what? That day after the election, when Barack Obama became president of the United States, we all rushed to see what, no pun intended, we hurried ourselves along to see what and hear what Rush Limbaugh was going to say that day at 12 o'clock. It's an American standard for conservatives on many days, like yesterday, okay? Most of conservative America went at 12 o'clock to hear the great one with one side of his brain tied behind his back or whatever. But anyway, Rush yesterday had maybe in his whole entire career, might have been his top 5 show he's ever done, okay? He was on fire yesterday enough to where, let's see, number 13, MSNBC, Trump's defenders slam Mueller for not exonerating the president on obstruction, okay? So they left that door open, but keep in mind, okay, keep in mind the report that they want to see has nothing because there was never anything. There was never anything. Here's why they want the report, okay? They want the report so they could see if they could find some sentences from anybody interviewed that will get you to tune into their network or give them a reason to keep asking about obstruction and collusion. See, they've not accepted that there's no collusion with the Russians. I say this in all due respect and kindness to my conservative friends. If you feel that Mueller's report, now we know this, you and I pay attention to this, but Americans who haven't been paying attention to this, they could care less. They're buying boats, they're buying cars, they're buying houses, they're you know, the rich of the rich are, you know, paying money to get their kids into college, as they say there, okay? So anyhow, but Mueller was God's gift to the Democrats and the liberals and the networks for God knows how long. I mean, Trump was going to fire him, and we needed legislation in Congress to protect him. All the above, you know that. You absolutely know that. But if you think this morning, after their hero, Robert Mueller, okay, $20–30 million of money spent, and we named everything yesterday, if you think for 1 minute that they have accepted there's no collusion with the Russians, you're wrong. You're totally wrong if you think they've accepted it. Anybody, none of them have. I mean, Joe this morning, Morning Joe, we'll get into that a little later, talking about collusion. He put all everything up. CNN's doing show after show. We have proof of collusion. Well, I don't know what happened to Mueller. We're just going to have to go on to Congress and let them prove it because we got proof. Adam Schiff, all of them. So one, they feel as much today, all right, they feel as much today that there's obstruction. The group does, the deep state media and the deep state feel there's as much obstruction of justice today as any other time. They feel there's as much Russian collusion today as any other time. Nothing has changed. They're going to move forward. They need to see the bank statements. They need to see inside of his personal business. They're far from done. All right? We'll see what happens. Now, Lindsey Graham may have them a little nervous, and I'm going to tell you something in a minute. But they're looking for, let me say this in the report, they're looking for sentences out of the Trump Tower meeting, anybody that was interviewed there. They're looking for sentences out of the Trump Tower Moscow deal, any sentences there. Anybody that actually, if they could get up tomorrow morning and put up Steve Bannon and the Mueller report quotes this, this, and this. If they can get up tomorrow and start quoting anybody out of this report with 2 or 3 sentences to make a news cycle. You see, the New York Times will continue to write stories, and the Washington Post will continue to write stories. None of that has ended. None whatsoever. And they're waiting for the leaks to come out of the report so the Times can write daily and the Post can write daily, and it'll be nothing. So yesterday I was concerned of actually going around and saying the President of the United States has been vindicated. And then I thought about it, I was thinking all day, vindicated from nothing, all right? Rush was on target yesterday. I mean, this is the biggest American hoax, and the actual criminals, it's time now to investigate the criminals that initiated this hoax on our President of the United States. No one, absolutely no one would have been able to endure what President Donald Trump has for 2 solid years. I have come on here many a days. I've talked to my friends. I've come on here. I don't know how the guy gets up and goes forward. I mean, they treat him like a piece of garbage 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, no matter. He cannot get any respect. Benjamin Netanyahu, it does not matter where in the world he's at. If you look at his presidency, no matter where in the world this man has been, no matter what stage he is standing on, no matter who he has at the White House, he could have children. He could be doing something special for children at the White House. And a jackass like Jim Acosta will ask him about collusion, or Robert Mueller, or the Russian. I'm serious. It doesn't matter. The guy could have veterans, World War II veterans, at the White House. He could have special ceremonies. It doesn't matter. Relentless. And I thought, when Rush said yesterday, it's time to investigate the people that perpetrated this hoax, the people that come up with it's time to investigate the actual biggest, the largest coup attempt in this country, a takedown of a sitting president. If you think yesterday they've accepted the election results, far from wrong. I mean, you're far from right if you think they accepted anything. And I didn't want to call it anything and take a victory lap. I mean, we had a lot of fun with it. We had fun with it this morning. Rush was encouraging people like you and I not to get on the victory lap yet, but vindication. And I kept thinking about vindication. And I thought, is it appropriate, vindication? Can we say that yesterday the president was vindicated? And I thought, okay, let's think about that. The action of clearing someone of blame or suspicion. So vindication, all right, he was cleared of any blame or suspicion around this. Proof that someone or something is right, reasonable or justified. Now, that's the other part of vindication that we have to do here, okay? Proof that someone or something is right or justified. So we need to prove now and get to the bottom, and the true vindication of what they did to our President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. I got a lot to go over at 9 o'clock. Stick with me. I want to talk about Lumpkin County High School principal. This lady, we'll go to, before we go to break, okay? Let's see, where's she at? I had her here. You actually mentioned her name. Number 20. Another nonprofit? Stacey Abrams launches Fair Count? Didn't she launch Fair Fight? I mean, how many nonprofits are we going to end up having to have auditors go through? And when will she end up in jail? Nonprofit ahead of the 2020 census. Stacey Abrams, she's on MSNBC there. Boom, you see where it come from? Stacey Abrams launches Fair Count for the census. Oh, my God. All right, folks, we're going to take a brief break. We'll be right back. Oh, no, one more. I can't hold myself. Number 40. You see this picture? All right? Yes, if you don't know who she is, we'll tell you right after the break and why she is cheesing. I'm your host, BKP. Stay with us. We'll be back right after these messages.